is up, fellow YouTubers? So this new age term, reverse sexual harassment. That's like saying the word irregardless. Now what brings this up, you ask? Well, I was watching a video on YouTube, and there is an extremist feminist that goes by the name of Jess Zimmerman. And this chick's a real piece of work, man, let me tell you. Well, goody. That pizza video's done processing. About freaking time. The wands are getting done slowly but surely. They're looking pretty good. This batch is looking nice. I try to craft them the best I can. But like, I could sit here and do a whole hour and a half on why this chick is seriously fucked up, but let's just keep it to the basics. These extremist women who think that it's all men's fault, you know, they're hypocrites and they victimize themselves. This stereotypical attitude of all men are just pigs, all men are just sexist. And basically, and then you see Jess Zimmerman's 5-step thing to not being a sexist, and she completely contradicts herself in that 5-rule thing. I had to like the video so I could reference it, but a lot of extremist feminists get so tired of the not all men excuse, as they call it. Some feminists have even gone far enough to say that that's a man's favorite excuse. And of course, there's so many problems with this, because women are taught growing up that men are just pigs. And, you see, women are taught growing up, YouTube, that men are just pigs. And the thing of it is, a lot of women claim that they have no defense. Well, here's the thing of it, and this is a point I want to make. This is something that, one of the few good points that the Amazing Atheist made was, if you're in a crowd of people and you see a dude kicking the shit out of a woman, people get pissed off, like, what the hell, what's your problem, right? But if people see a woman kicking the shit out of a dude, they point and they laugh. They call him a pussy for getting his ass kicked by a girl. You know what I'm saying? We live in a society where men are told to suck it up. If men are hurt, either physically or mentally, we're told to quit crying about it. If we show any emotion over our pain, we as men are called pussies for showing emotion over our pain. So it's not only degrading to men, but it's also degrading to women. And here's the best part of it. No, when it comes to having your feelings hurt, women are coddled in our society. They're told it's society's fault. Oh, whatever. you're better than that, blah, 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 blah. So women get supported when their feelings are hurt, but men don't. No, men are just told to suck it up and quit being a crybaby. And the biggest problem is when you look up the definition of sexism on the internet, a lot of definitions include the term mostly women. And I don't agree with that. Not one bit. You know what I'm saying? That just, it paints a negative image. It victimizes women, and quite frankly, it just makes men look worse. Now, but here's the thing of it. Our society has institutionalized some sort of sexist agenda. It does exist beneath the surface. But these days, I don't think it's all females getting attacked. I think both men and women are getting attacked more these days. You know, now some women have even gone far enough to say that men cannot bitch about sexism because of history, because women have never had the right to vote until recently. You know, women couldn't join the army, that sort of thing. And, okay, now I can understand primarily why they wouldn't let women join the army for the longest time. Part of it was sexist, yes, but part of it was they felt like they would be a distraction to the men fighting alongside them. And because, you know, it's just that male instinct, that primal male instinct, protect the woman, you know. And because of that primal instinct, you can call me a sexist all you want, but it's the truth. And that's why, for the longest time, women weren't allowed to join the army because, you know, it was just, you know. But men and women have, when they were first created, they were gatherers. You know, men would go out and hunt the saber tooth and what have you. Women would go out and pick berries, and then they'd come together, and there you go. She got clothing made out of the animal skin. He got clothing made out of the animal skin. They got meat, you know. But these days, you know, here's the thing of it, and I do believe this is kind of the truth. If men are told to toughen up and quit being pussies, they become desensitized to certain things. So it's just a mental block. Women can be conditioned in the same way. You know, if you're told to suck it up, quit being a crybaby, you know, if you're told and that's the social expectation, eventually you're just going to start believing it, and you know what I'm saying? So, but going back to this Jess Zimmerman person, I didn't have to watch but about 5 minutes of the Amazing Atheist video to get a gist of what this chick's all about. Now, literally, Jess Zimmerman has a Twitter and she blogs about what pigs men are, and, you know. Her cover photo on her Twitter is a sign, a street sign that's been vandalized so that it says Kill Men Avenue. That's a legit fact of hers. And here's the thing of it. If a man posted a sign on social media that said kill women, women everywhere would get offended by that. They would demand he take it down. But if a woman does something like that on social media, nobody bats an eye. Going back to what I said earlier, if a man's in a crowd of people beating the shit out of a female, they all come to her defense immediately because men are expected to be the tougher sex. And because men are expected to be the tougher sex, that's why we don't get treated very fairly on some issues. And really, you want me to be brutally honest, women are just as shallow as men. And then, And Jess Zimmerman's 5 steps to becoming a better person in her eyes, being less of a sexist, she claims that sexism somehow benefits her. What? Okay, explain this to me. How could you go off dedicating an entire vlog to how sexist men are and how women are always oppressed, and then turn around in your stupid 5 rules to not being a sexist saying it benefits you? When has sexism ever benefited anybody? The answer is never. If you want to watch the entire video, it's in my likes. It's entitled "Not All Men," and it's by the Amazing Atheist. And you know, sometimes people on YouTube go a little too far to prove a point, but yeah. And just the impression I got of this female, just hearing about her, I'm like, first of all, thank God not all women are like that. If all women were like Jess Zimmerman, I would go asexual. That's no bullshit. Now, could you imagine? Okay, women are told growing up their entire life that men are just pigs. Men only want one thing. Now, imagine if fathers were telling their sons, see, son, see your mom in the kitchen? That's where she belongs. That's the woman's place. You can't trust any other woman. They're all sluts and bitches. Women everywhere would be like, how dare you assume we're all like that? Well, then, what do you call it when you assume that all men are pigs? Hypocrisy at its finest. Now, when I first saw the video and the term reverse sexism, I could not begin to wrap my mind around. Let me paint a picture for you. I'm surfing on YouTube doing my thing. I literally eat the last 2 slices of pizza that I made from earlier because the pizza was that freaking good. And I stumble across this little video. And I'm trying to wrap my head around the sheer stupidity of it, and I can't. I cannot logically comprehend the madness of it. I mean, the times we are living in, people are now identifying as cisgender Charmander unicorns, and if you say anything else, then that's a hate crime. If you say, well, no, actually, you're a guy because I can see you're a guy, or no, actually, you're a girl because I can see you have boobs, they get offended and say that's a hate crime. Now, let me explain something to you about hate crimes. Okay. If you're being treated like shit because of the color of your skin or because of the sex you are, I mean, like physically, like not having any rights, that kind of thing, that's a hate crime. Discriminating against somebody based off of etc., creed, sexual orientation, gender, that sort of thing, that's a hate crime. But okay, that's a big difference between that and calling someone a chick, even though they identify as a dude, but they're not transitioned yet. You know, and you call them a chick because that's what they look like, because they haven't transitioned yet, and they get butthurt. Little crybaby snowflakes, how dare you? Oh, I'm sorry, what are you again? And the person says, I identify as a male unicorn Charmander. I'm special, pay attention to me. And that's just the fucking mentality we have with these millennials. Holy shit. You know, I've been accused of being transsexual, and I laugh because I'm like, dude, I'm proud of what I got between my legs. And if that's just some crack because I wear goth makeup, you know, people can't handle a heterosexual goth like myself. It drives them nuts. It drives them nuts. They can't stand it. Okay, like, people are way too easily triggered anymore. It's annoying as fuck. And you think you have a voice, but you really don't. I mean, you do and you don't, you know. You're just one voice. Opinions are like assholes, man. Everyone's got one, right? And if you had a voice, then so would everybody else. And if you had a voice, nobody would listen because everybody would be too busy talking. That was a fair point made by the amazing atheist because that's kind of the truth. You know, if you have a big enough YouTube channel or a big enough subscription count to your vlogs, then okay, maybe your voice matters to some people, but the average Joe Schmo working at Wendy's has no voice. He's just the, you know, and that's the sad part of it. But women want to talk about being oppressed. So let me tell you something. Humans are oppressed. It's just oppression, depression, racism, violence, poverty, war, disease, famine, hunger, vanity, narcissism. These things have been in human history since the dawn of time, and it's disgusting. There's no place for it, but it is what it is. Now, you want to talk about oppression. Going back to what I said earlier, if a man gets his ass kicked by a female, people point and laugh, call him a pussy for getting his ass kicked by a female. But if a male hits a female, it's go time. What the fuck, you piece of shit, you know? And that's the thing of it. You don't know the whole story, maybe, you know, I don't know, you know. But that being said, when it comes to domestic violence, if the female beats up on the male and then all he does is this, he doesn't just come up and whap for her hitting him like all the time, you know, in this hypothetical. All he does is shove her off. She goes to the police and says, he hits me. And again, you know, and the reason why women protested to join the army is because it's sexist. They're like, we don't need saved, we don't need coddled. We're women, we can do anything you guys can do. Amen to that. Well, almost anything. I mean, you don't want to be on the same basketball team, changing in the same locker room, getting slapped on the ass after every good game. No, you don't want that. You want equal pay and you want respect. That's fair. But here's the thing about it. When it comes to the sexist double standards imbalance in our society, if a man goes up to a female in a workplace setting, grabs her tits, slaps her ass, and says, hey baby, can I fuck you after work? Or why not just do it right now? Knock all the shit off your desk. Let's get freaky. She'll sue the fuck out of him and the company. He'll get fired for sexual harassment on the spot. If he's not warned the first time, he's gone. Zero tolerance. Boom. But if a female goes up to a male and just casually grabs his crotch, sticks her hand in his back pocket and says, hey stud, what are you up to? He can't do shit. Do you think men can legitimately press charges for sexual harassment against females? And the answer is no. The reason why is because society has completely sexualized the female form, and society has also taught us that all men want is sex. The combination of these two things makes that double standard exist. And the fact that Jess Zimmerman has blocked the amazing atheist on Twitter just shows that she can't take handling the truth. And that these women who do this kind of crap, they use verbal gymnastics and self-pity to justify their bigoted views towards men. And when in fact, these women who do these things are just as bad as the sexist men that they bitch about. And, you know, when you do things that make your sex look bad, when you do things that make your gender look bad, you may not give a shit because you're thinking, oh, who gives a fuck? I'm just, you know, doing my thing, you know. But here's the thing of it. You inadvertently affect the entire gender that you are assigned. at birth if you do things. Classic example. If you're a dude, you get some chick pregnant, and you're like, huh, fuck this, not my problem, and you bounce out. You make dudes look bad. If you're a woman and you're a man stealing bitch and you're stealing other women's boyfriends and husbands, you make women look bad. It's no different. And when you break it down to its simplest term, men and women deal with the same exact double standards, but it's in different forms. For example, women who get a dildo, oh, a woman has her needs, you know. Well, if a man gets a fleshlight, he's a disgusting pervert. Men can walk around shirtless, but women can't. Women can post risque photos on Facebook and social media, Instagram, Twitter, but men can't. I go on Facebook and I see tons of photos of chicks, and the only thing covering their nipples is a pasty or a goddamn pigtail. And the only thing they wear on their ass is a thong. Practically shows off their crotch, shows off their ass. Yet somehow, I'm being too sexual just because I had a boner on Facebook. That's exactly the double standard I'm talking about. And like, here's the thing of it. Women get boners too. Oh yeah, trust and belief. Just not the way men do. You know, if a woman sees a dude she finds attractive, her nipples get hard, she gets all, ooh, you know. And you see photos of chicks doing this shit all the time on Facebook, trying as hard as they can. And then, of course, you get the people who think that men and women can't just be friends. You get these people who think that men and women have to have sex to be friends. I disagree with that as well. If you think that men and women can't be friends without having sex because of the tension, you know, that only applies if there's a mutual attraction, both physical and mental. And the thing of it is, okay, what happens when the boyfriend's being a piece of shit and the female in question doesn't have any female friends? Maybe her mother and maybe her aunt, maybe her female cousin. That's as close as she gets. What if she has that one guy friend that she talks to? It doesn't lead anywhere sexual, but it gives her a place to vent and relieve stress. And here's the thing of it. Guys have the wrong attitude when it comes to getting friend-zoned by chicks. A lot of guys, and this is partly because society makes the man feel like shit if he can't provide, if he can't achieve, if he can't conquer, you know. His masculinity is challenged if he can't slay a bunch of pussy and bring home a shit ton of bacon. Have the nicest cell phone, the fanciest car. And women should be understanding to that kind of thing. I mean, women and men can relate to each other on that basic concept of women's feminine identity gets challenged and a man's masculinity gets challenged because of these double standards. Now, here's the problem with it. If we lived in a society where men and women were treated equal throughout history, it would make things so much easier. But because, you know, the stereotype that men always have to be in charge, that stereotype hurts men too. You know, oh, how the fuck does it hurt men? Because it makes women think that men are all just pigs, and it puts a lot of pressure for men to always achieve and be their best, and to quit crying and to suck it up. Now, if that stereotype didn't exist, do you think men would feel insecure if their female counterpart made more money? No. If there was an equal balance of power and money amongst the sexes, men wouldn't feel incompetent and insecure and less of a person because their female counterpart makes more money. You get these terms like reverse sexism and institutionalized sexism. Okay, sexism is sexism, period. It doesn't matter if you add 2, 3, 4 words to it to make it sound worse or more fancy worse than it already is. Sexism is sexism, period. And, much like racism, it just has to do with how you grew up, where you grew up, and the views you were taught. And unfortunately, some people's views aren't very PC. But if you try to look up Google institutionalized sexism, and you'll be high strung to find, and not too surprised, of course, that, oh, look at that. Okay, high strung probably wouldn't be the word. Some of you might be high strung to find out that you can't find any legit logic to back it up. It's just another one of those words like street sexual harassment, which is a term coined by some females, which is defined as unwanted sexual attention from a male. Basically, a dude checking you out, and you're like, ew. Now, women who act like they're offended by men checking them out, behind closed doors, they're bragging to their female friends or telling their husband or their boyfriend, you have no idea how lucky you are. Bragging to their female friends about how hot they are. But then in public, they'll be like, stop looking at me with your oppressive eyes, you male pig. But behind closed doors, girl, you're not going to believe how many guys I had checking me. Nah, 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 nah. It's so two-faced, dude. And not all women are like this. That's the thing of it. And that's the thing of it. I'll get attention from females that I don't find attractive. Not exactly my type. Not to my standard. But I'm not a ass about it. I take it as a compliment. So if I got some ugly ass chick hitting on me, at least I got a chick hitting on me. I'm grateful for that. And I've been rejected by women plenty of times. So if she's not my type, I let her down gently, because that's fair. But I can't get pissed off when I go to ask a chick out and she rejects me because she has standards, because that wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair, YouTube. Women are just as shallow as men, and that's the hardest pill to swallow. Well, they can be. You got the extremes. You got these sexist, bigoted men who treat women like shit. And then you got these male-hating females who treat men like shit. And then right there in the middle of that mess, you got the rest of us who are just trying to live our lives. And the rest of us who are somewhat decent people, we have good morals and good social values, looking at the extremes on either side going, oh, here we go again with that typical battle of the sexes crap. And this unfortunately exists on both sides. You got people who think that rape should be legal, that women need to be more submissive, and then you got women who think that all men are just pigs. Oh yes, the extremes exist in both sexes, and that's the unfortunate truth of it. And you could sit here on social media all day. He said this, well, he said that, she said this, he said that. That doesn't solve the fucking issues. Pointing fingers and he said, she said, fuck that shit, dude. You know what solves issues? Being understanding, being compassionate. Yeah. These days, it seems like the word feminist is defined as somebody who only sees the argument for the females and not for the males. But, and the word feminist has such a negative association with it because women like Jess Zimmerman give feminists a bad name. I I don't even want to go to her Twitter just after watching the video, and you know she's one of those chicks that has to shave a part of her head to be edgy and hate every male on the planet because she's triggered. She is female, hear her roar. No, women are constantly told to empower themselves, embrace their womanlyhood, be proud of their bodies, But if men try to have body confidence, we're told, shut up, you're a disgusting hairy male. Oh, did that hurt your feelings? Suck it up, you crybaby. People are made to feel guilty about, body shaming women, but, you body shame a man. No one cares. No one gives a shit, dude. And here's the thing of it. This is how you know that women have it better sometimes. Women can get free drinks at the bar without even trying. A lot of women be like, I gotta put all this makeup on. Nah. All you gotta do, put on some perfume, smell good, show up to the bar looking somewhat pretty, Dude's drunk enough, pretend to be interested in his bullshit. He'll buy you drinks. He'll buy you fucking drinks all fucking night. And you don't have to go home and suck his dick. All you gotta do is be like, excuse me for 1 second, I gotta go to the bathroom. You get up, never come back. Or, my friend just texted me, she really needs me, she's having issues right now. And all she has to do is say, oh, my friend's on her period, I need to go help her and be a supportive woman. And the dude's gonna be like, oh, okay, say no more, man, you ain't got, oldest excuse in the book. And, and that's, oof. Men, we can't do that shit. No, unless we're extremely good looking or suave as fuck. Men, you're never going to see chicks buying dudes drinks. Not unless they're suave as fuck. We're talking makes Fabio look like a nerd. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up. But the biggest power struggle is how men and women view sex. It's completely different. Women, it's more romantic and passionate, emotional. Men, it's more physical and, yeah. Women would view sex kind of like some handsome dude with long hair riding a white horse down a beach, V-neck shirt, waves brushing off the sand, warm beach weather. And he cuddles her and tells her she's the prettiest woman in the universe. It's an emotional experience, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing of it, too, is like women are giving themselves to someone. They're giving something to someone. And that's the thing of it, is men don't realize, they think, we're just getting our dicks wet. Yeah. Right on, bro, yeah. No, but you don't understand it. Okay, you really don't. Now, I don't know why whoever the fuck created humans decided, let's be a sick bastard and have some fun. Let's make all these gender bullshit double standards, and let's watch the fireworks happen. This will be good. Now, if God does exist, he's got a sick sense of humor, and I can appreciate that to a degree. Now, do not let social media or society dictate how you feel about your body or pressure you into dating, rushing out. Don't be in a rush to find companionship. Straight up. People who are in a rush to find companionship usually are unhappy with their choices. You get a chick who lifts weights. So do you think she goes for a dude who's fat, disgusting, and out of shape? No. No. The narcissism in her refuses. So instead, she chooses to go for a dude who lifts weights. And she'll justify it by saying, it's something we have in common. But here's the thing of it, women do not date men, they date the lifestyle. Love is not an emotion, it's a commitment. And sexism happens to both sexes. That's why it's called sexism. Being the word, as the word sex, which is implied, the gender term, you know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate when women choose to victimize themselves and treat men in the same sexist manner in which they are complaining about. These same women who go off, men are just pigs, this and that, assuming that, and then you're no different than the sexist men you've encountered in your life. No different. And I don't know what the hell could have pissed off Jess Zimmerman to the point where she felt this compelling need to be like some of the females in our population. And no one's denying that women don't get treated like shit, okay? All around the world, sexism is a problem. It's a lot worse. It's a lot worse in like other countries, but in like Western civilization, it's not that bad. It could be worse. If women want to complain about sexism in Western civilization, then please, by all means, feel free to switch places with an Arabian woman who has to wear a freaking camping tent over her entire body in 108-degree weather, and she gets punched in the face if her food doesn't taste good, and she has to share her man with like 8 other women, and then talk to me about how sexism really affects the Western civilization. What I'm saying, like, it's ridiculous, and I fight for gender equality on my channel because I don't like seeing men and women hold each other to the same goddamn standards. It pisses me off. It's so fucking hypocritical. It makes my stomach sick. Women have standards, men have standards, right? And that's just the thing of it. Not every guy is into the same thing. Not every woman is into the same thing. Of course, that could change. Girls everywhere could be like, we don't want to be called women or female because the word man and male is in those words. And those are oppressive terms. Yeah. I have a feeling that Jess Zimmerman is that kind of feminist. But that's what you've been called for how long, and now you want to change it because the word male and men is in it? We break down the word woman, which is man with womb. If we're created in God's image, then maybe God's both sexes. Think about it. Just think about it for a second. Oh, I could hear a lot of Christians going, that's bullshit. How dare you insult my God, you heathenistic. You're gonna go to hell. Thank you, I look forward to it. They'll make me a ruler down there. Anyways, but think about it. God gets the Virgin Mary pregnant and then doesn't stick around for the child. That's a guy move. When he's pissed off and destroying your crops, that's his or her womanly rage coming out. As the age-old expression goes, hell knows no fury like a woman's scorn. Now, my final point being is if you have a girlfriend and she says you can't have any female friends, or if you have a boyfriend and he says you can't have any male friends, what that's going to do is it's going to make your significant other half feel like they're being controlled. It's going to make you look possessive, and if it doesn't do it right away, over time, it'll make your other half less attracted to you. Because love is built on two things: trust and communication. Two things. In fact, love is not the only thing that is built off of those two principles. And if you cannot trust your significant other half around the opposite sex, why are you with them? Because wouldn't that drive you nuts? And then, of course, you get some dude who gets pissed off when other dudes check out his girl, and it's like, well, it comes with the territory, bud. You're dating a hot ass chick, of course guys are gonna stare. Put yourself in their shoes. You be doing the same fucking thing, and don't lie to me, because I know you would. And the same could be said for women too. You know, I gotta grab a glass of water and wrap this Pipe Thoughts video up. I don't want to be too terribly long on it. If you like the direction in which this Pipe Thoughts is going, and you want more like it, let me know in the comment section. And if you like these provoking philosophical rants, subscribe for more. Stay single for a couple months and just observe the people around you. And I think people who are single are more observant than people who are taken. Because people who are taken are so wrapped up in their girlfriend or so wrapped up in their boyfriend. Just like everybody else, they're trying to perceive to the world, we have a perfect relationship. Right. You see it in their selfies and the way they carry themselves, but behind closed doors, they fight like the rest of us. I mean, I did do a long ass video pretty much agreeing with the amazing atheist on his video 100%, but it came off as too aggressive and ugh, ugh. Now, people have made comments like, oh, what are you going to do with your wand money? Waste it all on pizza and then feel sorry for yourself? No. I might have made a mistake once or twice spending most of my wand money on pizza. But who gives a fuck, dude? It's my wand money. I'm the one busting my Asperger's to make these things. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one making them look legit. So, that's off topic, but I don't know what kind of men that this Jess Zimmerman character has encountered, but I feel sorry for her. I really do. I feel sorry for her. I'm not going to say sorry because it's not my fault that she's encountered shitty people. And that's the thing about being a person. That's the thing about being human. is you're going to encounter shitty people. That's one unfortunate fact of life you can't change. The only thing you have control over is how you deal with these shitty people. And if you go off accusing the opposite sex as being the same, then these shitty people have won and they got to you somehow. And if it wasn't true, then you wouldn't be sitting there telling anybody who will listen what pigs men are. And here's the best part about being a man. Even if you're not a sexist, you're automatically assumed to be one just because you have a penis between your legs. And having an assumption thrown your way based off of your anatomy. That's something women should be able to understand. But instead of being understanding and supporting each other, they turn it into oh, poor me, it's all men's fault, you know? And I can't stand women like that, dude. Women who are all about victimizing themselves, victimizing their sex, victimizing themselves. It's all men's fault. They're the worst, dude. It's like you want to go up to these women, they're sitting there in their little apartment. They got their 9 to 5 at Starbucks. They have a car. Maybe they have a cat. They have food in their fridge. They have the freedom to vote, the freedom to choose whatever career they want and not be oppressed for it, other than the shitty people they meet that may not support them. There's a big difference between dating shitty people and then being forced to think that way. And the difference between sexism in the Western world and sexism in other countries is, okay, you might encounter the occasional sexist male who is just the worst, you know, but overall, you still get garnered support. But whereas in other parts of the world, you're just forced to think a certain way, and if you don't obey, you get punished. You get stoned to death. You know, it's sad. Like, is it just me? But that's the thing of it. Is these self-entitled millennials who think, and that's the thing of it. They think, oh, they're God and their word is the gospel. You know, just the way some of these people act, and it's so annoying. Not all millennials are like that. And the cool thing about social media is you can use it to do good things and spread good messages. But you can also use it to corrupt people and bully them. So, yikes. Could you imagine having the power to help somebody and destroy them at the same time? It's a fickle sort of thing, and it's a power that should not be taken irresponsibly. And yet, I feel like as a society, we have abused the power of social media too much. We were given a great power and we took advantage of it. And now, some yuppie bitch who has a minimum wage job, at least she's making money, and a career she chose, going to college to get a degree in business because she can, because the society she lives in doesn't tell her she can't, sitting there bitching about how oppressed she is because men are just pigs. What a slap in the face to women who actually go through some serious shit. How about the refugees over in the Middle East, women who are separated from their children because of war, or women who are treated like shit because the men in those countries are scumbags. You know, and some of you might think, okay, that's too far, but my point being is, you know, maybe you ought to stop and look at your life and maybe you realize it's not that bad. Now, I get that women are fighting for gender equality, but fighting for gender equality and being a sexist, there's a fine line. Demanding that women should be paid the same as men if they have the same work experience, demanding that women be treated as equals, that's fighting for gender equality. Calling all men sexist and saying that women are always victims, that's oppression at its finest. And the hypocritical thing of it is these same women who go off and say these ludicrous things like all men are just pigs, they're doing the exact thing they're bitching about, being a sexist and sexism in general. And then, of course, there's that shitty attitude that it's only sexist when men do it. I cannot bang my head on the desk any further. That whole statement just, wow. I'll say it again. The reason why it's called sexism is because it happens to both men and women. And this is the problem with it. When you look up the definition of sexism, some websites write the definition as mostly to women. Sexism is blah 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 blah, means discrimination against gender based off of blah 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 blah. Mostly happens to women. Okay, no. The definition of sexism should be what it is. Discrimination against gender based off of anatomy. Plain and simple. And when you get websites that post the definition of sexism to include the term happens mostly to women, that's the kind of crap that people like Jess Zimmerman feed off of. That's the kind of negative stereotype that people like her feed off of. I might get some backlash in the comment section for this video, but quite frankly, I don't care. I wanted to make a fair point without being too much of an ass. And that's the thing of it. I never even heard of this Jess Zimmerman chick until it was mentioned in a video by a YouTuber that I'm subscribed to. And here's the funny part of it. Jess Zimmerman has blocked The Amazing Atheist on Twitter. Because rather than listen to a reasonable argument, it's, you're wrong, I'm right. And that's why she did it. Now, I block people on my YouTube channel because they're being bullies and they're being trolls and they're being stupid. That's reasonable. I'm not going to get harassed on this website, and if I see people harassing me in the comment section, you know, you're going to get blocked. People say, well, subscribers ain't nothing. It takes like 2 seconds to create a YouTube account. Unless you plan on making 100,000 subscribers, you ain't shit on YouTube. Fuck that attitude. Yeah, it takes about 2 seconds to block your fake account. Well, I'm going to leave y'all with it. Wrap this up. Because, I don't want to be on here for an hour saying the same 10 things over and over and over and over and over. People are like, we get the point. Just because just because we live in a male-dominated society where females' bodies have been overly sexualized, that doesn't mean that men don't experience some form of sexism too. And believe me, if I had any control over any of it, I'd go back in time and I'd tell our founding fathers, hey, be a little bit nicer to the ladies, you know, give them more rights, give them the same rights you have. And if they said, well, why should we do that? I'd say two things. One, you make her happy, she makes you happy. And two, how would it feel to be in her shoes? And they'd go, well, fuck, I'd feel like shit. But here we have it. You get a generation of housewives who are stay-at-home moms, and their daughters say, well, that's old-fashioned, so they become empowered to explore and do their own career. And then the offspring of that generation feels self-entitled and feels like all men are just pigs because 3 generations of women telling other women growing up men are just pigs, feeding into that negative stereotype. And imagine, just for 1 second, I might have said this in the video, but I'll say it again. How would, if fathers were telling their sons that women belong in the kitchen and that sort of sexist crap, women would be livid. If fathers were telling their sons, all women are just bitches, women everywhere would be like, how dare you? But what you're doing to men is the exact same thing. Now I get it, you don't want your daughter dating at a certain age. That's understandable. So instead of making a sexist remark like all men are just pigs, why not just say, hey, you're not old enough to date? And what is that double standard? You got a 14-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl, their brother and sister. And the 14-year-old boy says he's going out on a date with a chick from his class. He gets told, well, be respectful and treat her right. But if the 13-year-old girl says she wants to date boys in her class, she gets told, you're too young. I don't wish to get into a stupid online battle with anybody. I'm just making some fair points here. Now, my aim with these videos, YouTube, my aim with these videos is not to piss off women, not to piss off men, but to help men and women understand each other so that this kind of battle of the sexes bullshit goes down a little bit. And I feel like if men and women can understand each other a bit better, it makes things a little bit easier. Now, because we live in a male-dominated society, that puts a lot of pressure on men to always be the best and always bring home the bacon, They have to make more than the woman, otherwise their masculinity is challenged. And that's such a bullshit concept. Your masculinity should not be defined on how much money you make. Your masculinity should be defined on your actions. Example, I'm comfortable enough with my masculinity to wear gothic makeup to express my goth side. People see a heterosexual goth wearing makeup and it challenges the norm, and people are quick to lash out with hate comments. But really, they're just jealous that I have the courage to be myself and they don't. They're hiding behind their keyboards, jealous as fuck. I hate this autistic piece of shit. How dare he be himself? Fuck him, he's such a loser. Meanwhile, I'm getting respect for keeping it real, and you're just getting hate for being an ass. So, yeah, you know, just saying. Grab another glass of water and one final point. Now, because men and women are held to the same standards, just in different forms, if we lived in a society where the power balance and the money was more equal, men wouldn't have to feel inferior to women because they make more money, and women wouldn't feel like they're being oppressed because men make more money. See what I'm saying? Last time I checked, stuff costs money. The only thing free anymore is bitching, complaining, inserting your 2 cents, having common sense. Pretty much the only thing that's free in life, your 2 cents, someone else's 2 cents, common sense, bitching and complaining, and breathing. These are the only 5 things that are guaranteed free in life. Everything else pretty much costs money. And that being said, when you have a girlfriend, it's a team effort. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, if she's making a little bit more money than you are, awesome. You know, if I had a girlfriend and she made more money than I did, I would support her 100%. I would not feel challenged by my masculinity in any way, shape, or form. I would support her 100% because life is expensive. And when you have that team effort up and take care of each other's expenses when you can, it makes life a little bit easier. FDA is so concerned about menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars. They should be more concerned about the food, as the first acronym in the FDA stands for food. It's the Food and Drug Administration. So the main priority should be the food we eat. You're so concerned about menthol cigarettes because menthols are unhealthy, but what about the hormones in our children's food? Unnecessary GMOs, pesticides on our fruits and vegetables, unnecessary hormones added to produce bigger food or make the shelf life last longer. If you're so concerned about the health hazards of cigarettes, why not force the cigarette companies to take out all the nasty chemicals in cigarettes so that all that's left is sugar, food flavoring, and nicotine? Why not make the cigarette butts biodegradable by making the cigarette paper and the cotton out of hemp? So that way when you flick your cigarette butt into the trash can, it's biodegradable. But no. Instead of victimizing yourself as a female and saying it's all men's fault, maybe you could try being a bit more understanding. You know, whenever you hear a man say it's not easy being a man, of course you're going to hear a woman say, well, it's not easy being a woman, and it's like, okay, two people can play that argument. But the truth of it is, being a human being sucks. I don't give a shit how old you are, what sex you are, where you come from. Being a human being sucks. And with that being said, thank you for watching my Pipe Thoughts video, and I'll catch you cool cobras later. Leave you with some things to think about. Yeah.